War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host, C-Dub, and Auburn is off this week. But fortunately, the War Report is not. We're here to predict Week 8 SEC games. We give our predictions as usual, and we also have Bryan Matthews, friend of the show from auburnsports.com, to give us the latest regarding recruiting and all news surrounding Auburn football in the bye week. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that. So for now, sit back, get your weight up, because we enter the war room tonight.
You are now listening to the War Report. Wednesday night War Room. Brought to you by Auburn Sports.com. Ike Jones. B. Will. C. Doe. Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Thanks for tuning in to the latest Wednesday night War Room, brought to you by our friends at auburnsports.com for the latest regarding recruiting and all news regarding Auburn athletics. auburnsports.com got you covered. Please head on over there and they will get you squared away. Shout outs also to the War Report family. Help us grow, guys. Help us to reach new people looking for Auburn content by sharing our live videos on social media using hashtag #GetYourWeight_up. We greatly appreciate it. Now, for membership perks, how can you become a member? All that good stuff. Mike G, take it away.
Listen, $5.99, baby. Become an insider. Listen, we are giving away a lot of stuff to our insiders. You guys get extra content. You get all the goodies. You get free tickets. You get raffles, T-shirts. You get extra chats. Become an insider. Become a part of our community. If you don't know about it, ask somebody in the comments that's an insider. We got tons of them here tonight, as we do every stream. Tonight's a special stream. Tonight is a very, very special stream. So we are giving away tickets to the Ole Miss game tonight. Live on stream, 2 tickets to the Ole Miss game. Come on, people. Who else is doing this? This is us giving back to our community. You got to be a subscriber, and you got to be on tonight. We said bump a T-shirt. Let's give away some tickets. So this is our second set of tickets that we're giving away. Hashtag be Ole Miss in the comments. We appreciate the hashtag get your weight up, but this time it's hashtag be Ole Miss. Don't beat spelling. Make sure you get it right. And make sure you get into that. 2 tickets to the Ole Miss game. The only stipulation I have is that if you're not going to go to the game, we ask for some integrity from our community. Throw them back. I want to draw until we get somebody that actually does want to go to the game, these tickets. So please do that. Last but not least, listen, we're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society. This is our good that we've chosen to put back into the world, guys. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. 50 cents on every dollar goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them in their mission to save all the puppies. We love the puppies here at the War Report, so we love the Lee County Humane Society. Scoot on over there. Every dollar you guys donate counts. And sorry, that was a misclick.
Also, shout out to you, Dorian Hurd. Been waiting all day on my TWR family. Promising news surfacing around TD Moultrie and Papo. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that, guys. We'll definitely talk about that, but appreciate that super chat, man. Good to have you on with us. Fellas, this is like my favorite time of the football season because it's less stress because Auburn won't lose this week, regardless. Won't lose. How are we feeling? Auburn is 5-2 going into the much-needed bye week. How you feeling, Mike G?
Listen, Bryan Harsin has the best record through 7 games of any Power 5 first-year head coach this year at 5-2. Now, I don't think anybody will argue he had the toughest road to hoe. So being 5-2 at this point is actually quite an accomplishment. I just want to take some time to congratulate him on what really has been a job well done up to this point. You know, he hired his staff. We had our ups and downs, but to be 5-2, you know, and honestly, a team that could have been 6-1 under the right circumstances. He's got to see. I mean, listen, we're in the hunt for the SEC West. Whether we're an actual threat to win it or not, that's another story. I'm going to wait another few weeks before we get into that. But I feel good. I feel like being in the conversation and feeling like we could possibly hang is a great place to be. So, thumbs up, Brian Harsin and staff through 7 weeks.
All right, talk to me, man. How you feeling going into this bye week?
I feel good. Like I said, there's no stress in the bye week. Hopefully, everybody just stays healthy during practice this week. We get a good game plan together. Ole Miss goes out there and does something that makes them overconfident coming into Jordan-Hare, and then we beat the brakes off of them next weekend. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
awesome. Michael asked where be Will. He has a night off tonight, guys. Handling some things personally, so he'll be back next weekend. So. Be on the lookout for him there. Yeah, I'm feeling good too. I'm feeling real good too. I just like where we are. I think if you told me that Auburn would be 5-2 going into the bye week back in August, I would have gladly taken it, especially in year one. That means we would have beat some teams that people didn't expect us to beat. And that's basically what has happened. And I like how we have looked on the road, whether it's Penn State, whether it's LSU, whether it's Arkansas, we have looked the part. We haven't been run off the field. We haven't been, looking terrible. So I'm happy with where we're going, and we're seeing improvement. I think that those are the returns you want to see in year one. It may not necessarily reflect in the record you want to see. Fortunately for us so far, we are seeing it reflecting the record, but I'm happy to see improvement on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm happy for that. Well, guys, listen, let's go ahead and do what we normally do. And let's talk about some week 8 preview. It's kind of some teams are off this week. So this is how we're looking. Baby. B Will is still out in front. I'm close second. Ike is coming up on me, trying to pass me, but I can't let that happen. And Mike G's in fourth. He's in last place. But
hey, best record of the week though. You ain't just gonna slide past my 6-1 this week, like it's not. It's something. It's something. Okay. Damn it! I've been taking the beating every week.
All right. Well, you got to share that with Ike because you didn't get that by yourself. But congratulations, Mike G. Congratulations. So we want to shout out our betting partner. These lines are brought to you by BUSR. Head on over there, create an account with them. If you plan on placing any bets this season, go to busr.com/rapport to set up your account. So basically, if you're going to support us, support the people who are also supporting us. So head on over there and set up an account with them so you can place your bets with BUSR. Now, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to it. First game, no lines for it, but Arkansas, Pine Bluff at Arkansas, no shocker here. I'm going Arky.
Yeah.
Okay. Arkansas. Brian picks Arkansas too. For the record.
Yeah. He did send us his picks, though. We do have what picks Brian wanted to do here.
Yeah.
So we got the next one is Mississippi State goes on the road to Nash Vegas to play Vandy. You see the line there.
Interesting.
Why you say it's interesting?
Because we got 3-3 versus 2-5. Vandy pulled out a win last week, did they not?
Against who?
They did not.
No. South Carolina.
They were close.
They were close.
They didn't actually win. Yeah.
They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Mississippi State. Definitely.
Same.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Can't risk it this week.
Well, at least not on Vandy. You know somebody at Vandy if you're doing that. South Carolina goes on the road.
They did 1 point win against Vandy. I got to go with Texas A&M.
Yeah, Texas A&M's winning this game.
That's
unless you want to shock the world here, and pick South Carolina with the upset on the road.
Does South Carolina cover?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You know what? I think South Carolina covers.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Good for you but they're not gonna win the game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to tell you. You think I'm crazy? Come on now. All right. Tennessee. Don't do that, Mike. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not, or do that. I don't care. Whatever. Tennessee goes to number 4, Alabama. It's not even no point in me giving the football power index, but like you know who they think has the best chance of winning. We know who has the best chance of winning. I think Tennessee gets curb stomped this weekend. I know Ike is really hoping that Bama gives it to Tennessee after last week. Obviously,
They deserve it.
They deserve it. They earned it.
They did earn it. They did earn it.
And listen, the players don't earn it, but your fans deserve to see your team go down in epic fashion for how you behaved last week. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got to say, is Hooker done? How serious was his injury?
I don't know. That's even worse. If he's not playing, then they're just gonna
they pulled him. He got injured, and then they sent Milton in for the last play of the game, and it was tragic. Like it was shades of Bo versus South Carolina.
I was like, he took off running. I was like, you realize that this is the last play? There's 3 seconds left, and you ran all 3 of them away trying to dance around in the backfield. There's literally no point for you to do anything other than hurl something towards a person who has puke orange on and hope that they come up with and he didn't do that. Yeah,
it was literally what Bo did last week, last year versus South Carolina. There was you had one job, throw it in the end zone. It was so tragic.
Puke orange though.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I hope they get beat.
Looks like somebody had an orange sherbet and it didn't sit well with them.
Let's help our guy David out. He's asked, how can I watch the film?
Hey, listen, go to the Watch the Film playlist on our YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist there. If you're an insider, you have access to that. All the Watch the Films are there. So if you don't catch it live, you can go to our playlist and see all of those there.
Cleveland says hope plus execution equals danger for anyone facing Auburn. I like that. All right. Auburn danger. Keeps improving. It will be danger. I like that. I like the attitude there. Also, I think and by the way, there's no shock with B. Will's picks, by the way, guys. I mean, he's pretty much picking the same people we're picking, so no need to emphasize that. Let's move on to the last game. Actually, a very quiet weekend in the SEC. LSU. The Fighting Orgerons go on the road to play number 12 Ole Miss.
Are they going to pull out a little last second magic for old Edo?
No, because Ole Miss isn't turning the ball over that many times. Give him that opportunity.
Yeah, no, I don't think that LSU is going to do it this week. I'm going to go Ole Miss as well.
I heard of some of Ed Orgeron's. More has come out about that situation, about his behavior.
Yes,
since winning the national title, Coach O lost his damn mind. And for that reason, I'm gonna pick LSU to pull off something crazy here for Coach O on his way out. So I'm going. There's no real logic to this pick. I'm not sitting here pretending like LSU.
I mean, the only saving grace here is Matt Corral may not play.
He may not play. Yeah, he may not play. So
that's really the only difference for me in this game as to whether or not Ole Miss even whether they put up 60 or they only score 30.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin did not sound. I mean, it may have been games and shit, but he didn't sound super optimistic about Corral playing in this one. So. So
they're going to be back to what's the other kid's name that plays like a running back at there? He's got great legs, man. I can't. He's all over the place. I can't remember what his name is right now.
Yeah,
that kid is a great runner.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. They are about to do that because that's all they. When I pick them, they lose, and when I don't pick them, they win.
Plumlee, yes,
Yeah,
Plumlee. Make them Plumlee.
help me, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Mike G just say just 7 days ago
That he was done? He did.
I did.
You heard it too. You heard it too.
I did. LSU
So-
said, "Baby, I've changed. I promise." I was like, "Okay, I'll take you back this time. One more
John
time.
Rice
One more
Plumlee.
chance."
That's what his name is. John Rice Plumlee.
Yeah.
So hey,
He isn't there anymore. Somebody said, "Really? I didn't." Oh, that's right. He did transfer. I don't know who the backup
Ooh, I don't know
quarterback
who
is
the
for Ole
backup
Miss.
is.
Then
Altmaier.
they said,
Altmaier.
he's playing wide receiver." They said, "Oh man,
Luke
they're gonna put
Altmaier.
him back in and let him.
They're
play,
gonna put him
man.
back there.
Yeah,
They're gonna put him back there.
but I don't know, man. I just don't know if LSU is. I mean, they don't have anything to lose. Matt Corral being down is really the only thing that makes this questionable for me.
Yeah.
Or if he plays hurt.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, him playing hurt is probably still better than whoever. If he's playing hurt, that means that they probably don't trust their backup at all,
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
and that bodes particularly well for us the next week. So
Facts.
Big facts.
Facts.
Big facts. Well, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on
I'm
this
still
game
picking Ole Miss,
because-
but whatever.
We'll keep an eye on this game because I am curious to see just how injured Matt Corral really is, and what does that look like for us going into the next week. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just curious to see what kind of do these guys really get up for Orgeron or not. I mean, do they still continue to play for him? That is a weird situation with a coach still there, but he's fired, but not really.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just don't know what kind of what that locker room is looking like, but I don't know. We shall surely see. We shall surely see. I think we got a super chat here. UT fans' conduct was so deplorable. This is by Stuart Donald. UT fans' conduct was so deplorable that made Lane Kiffin look like a good guy.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah. I mean, he for the longest he looked like the bad guy leaving Tennessee in the way that he did. You kind of vindicated him in a way by the way you acted. So for sure.
SEC Shorts did a really funny video about UT fans sneaking random objects into the game. If you haven't seen that, I highly
have not
recommend you
seen
go.
that yet.
It was comedy, but that was a whole failure on their like stadium security and like just the stuff that they got in the game. I just don't understand it, man. I will never understand that. The SEC came down with heavy fines. I think $250K is what I saw. They hit them with, and they got to get that under control, man. If you're hypo, that's disappointing, man. Your first year, the fans going to do something bush league like that. That's too bad for him. I don't think he deserved that.
William Nichols here says chances that Kiffin announces he's taking the LSU job after the game.
I wouldn't put anything past Lane. Nothing. I put nothing past Lane Kiffin.
I doubt he would do that after the game.
Not after the game, but
I doubt he would do that after the game. But I just don't know. It's kind of early to determine who. I mean, they're throwing out names, and it's mostly through agents who are at the very least trying to get their guy a raise at the very least. So you know how these things are. It's hard to determine who they're really going after. But
yeah, I wonder what they're telling recruits at this point. Right, you're gonna let him coach the whole season out. Is he recruiting? Is the staff recruiting? Like,
I would think the staff is recruiting for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know about him.
Yeah, I just don't.
Because I just don't know what he would say. Like,
then with the early signing period, right? Like, this is a very curious decision to announce his departure, then still let him coach out the season. So I can't wait to read more on that situation, LSU. But apparently, it was so untenable they had to do something. So anyway,
yeah. Well, Wade Jackson says he said he's still recruiting. I'm just.
What's the pitch?
Yeah. Come to LSU. I won't be there, but come to LSU.
Yeah, right.
Well, guys, listen. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, especially if you're watching this on replay. Let us know if you see any upsets. Does Tennessee upset at Alabama? Do you see LSU upsetting Ole Miss? That's perhaps the more intriguing matchup, LSU at Ole Miss. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Also, you're watching the Wednesday Night War Room. We pause to acknowledge our sponsors.
The War Report's Wednesday Night War Room is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at BUSR.com/report. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Hashtag be Ole Miss in the comments, people. We're giving away tickets to the Ole Miss game, and you got at least 10 days to plan for it. So we are so happy to be able to do this for our subscriptions, everybody who's tuning in tonight on and off week. We got almost 300 people in here. If you took this week off from the War Report, it's too bad for you. Everybody who's riding with us on the off week, we're giving away tickets to this game. Hashtag be Ole Miss in the comments to enter. We're going to draw at the 1 hour mark. So you have to be present to win. We will keep drawing until we get somebody who's actually going to go to the game. Ike, how many people we got in so far?
Only 45 so far.
45. All right. Listen, I'm not going to beg you to sign up for free tickets. So
Y'all tripping.
Hashtag beat Ole Miss in the comments to get a chance.
Maybe they just can't go. Maybe it's just like I can't be there. So
everybody's on vacation. I hear they have fall break. This is a thing for students. Everybody's on fall break. Who knows? But hashtag beat Ole Miss to get into that. Listen, our merch store is live. Normally we give away a mug or a t-shirt, but if you don't win show to show, you can always just go buy a shirt or buy a hat or buy a mug and support us. It's a great way to support our content. You can find this link in the about section of our YouTube channel. Last but not least, listen, we're on podcasts. So you can go check out the War Report on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, anything you listen to podcasts on. We are there. Download our episodes, drop us a review, leave a comment, mark us 5 stars, anything you can do to help us climb the podcast charts. So we'll be bringing you guys more podcast content as we move along.
And we are now joined by Bryan Matthews of AuburnSports.com. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be in with you guys. I just love listening to y'all go back and forth. It's just so much fun.
Thanks, man. Listen, it's a lot to go over, from recruiting to news surrounding the program. We had a super chat earlier that talked about good news surrounding TD Moultrie and Owen Papos. So let's kind of just start there. What's the latest? Give the people the latest regarding TD Moultrie and when we can expect him back with Auburn.
Well, it's probably still indefinite on TD. He's got a compliance issue they're working through, him and Auburn. And I don't have a good timetable on that, but maybe for Ole Miss, maybe a little bit longer, maybe never. I do think, though, that, or at least what we're hearing is he'll probably make it back at some point. I think Owen Papos is a guy that they've been pointing to get back for the Ole Miss game. He had a high ankle sprain, which can take a player out 4 or 5 weeks, which I think he's missed 4 games, if I'm not mistaken now. So I think they'd be a little disappointed if they don't bring him back for Ole Miss, or if he's not ready to go. But I think if you look at what Matt Corral does running the ball, you've got to have and Ole Miss run 100 plays a game or whatever they did at Tennessee. You got to have that linebacker depth, and you really need Papos back for this game.
Definitely. What has been some of the biggest surprise for you watching Auburn in the first half of this season? What are some things that you've been, that you've anticipated either on the offense or defensive side of the ball that has either gone the way you expected or not so much? What has been the biggest surprise for you?
I think the biggest surprise for me, and that's coming off of 8 years of Gus or whatever it was, is just seeing the team improve so much in certain areas as the season went on, which is something I definitely didn't see recently from the previous regime. And you look at it offensively, Bo's gotten better, the receivers have gotten better, the pass blocking's gotten better, the run blocking and all that's got to get better, but this is a great week off to get that done, right?
Yeah.
And then defensively, I mean, the secondary looked ass the first couple of weeks, and they've gotten better, right? And I think a lot of that was just them adjusting to playing a lot more different zone coverages after Steele was basically a 90% or more man guy. So
Yeah.
and then the pass rush has gotten better. That's been another area of concern for this team for years since Jeff Holland really having that edge guy, and Auburn's got a few guys that are making plays. Derek Hall, I love what Eku Leota's done recently. So I think that's the biggest thing. The other thing I really like is how offensively they have these plans that are innovative, that attack and confuse defenses, and that really set up this team to win games if they execute well enough. Even Georgia, which was much better than Auburn at just about every position, if Auburn was to perfectly execute their offensive plan against Georgia, they would have been in it at the very least in the fourth quarter. Maybe not win that game, but they would have been in it. So I just I like the coaching that Auburn's getting, game day and development wise and improvement wise.
Definitely. What would you say would be kind of your expectation going into Ole Miss with the bye week? What are you expecting much from Auburn going home against an Ole Miss team that's kind of questionable because we're not quite sure of their QB situation? Do you expect this team to continue more consistency? Because the question is, Auburn showed that they're able to show improvement for one game, but the question is, can they continue to do that, right? And so, what can we expect realistically from Bo? Can we expect the 21-26 performance in your opinion, or do you see Bo, improving, but his numbers may not reflect that? There may be a drop here and there. Like what can we expect realistically from this offense moving forward?
Well, I think with Ole Miss, I don't think their defense is anything special. They're better than last year's Ole Miss team, which is a big step forward for them. But still, I don't think they're any worse than Arkansas. I think they're fairly similar, strengths in different areas. So I do think the offense and Bo can have a pretty good game against Ole Miss, especially if they can find a way to get that running game going on first and second down. I thought they had a great plan against Arkansas to throw those quick, short passes to get Bo going. It got him in a rhythm. It backed Arkansas up a little bit. It just was a great plan, I thought, and if they can find a way to get a hat on the offensive line and sustain a block for an extra second or a half second, whatever it takes to give Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter a little extra room, and they can break a tackle, suddenly you're getting 6 or 7 yards on first down, and then the offense really starts working well. So I think that's still another improvement, another big step they can make in this offense.
Well, listen, let's talk about one of the people have been asking some questions about recruiting. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the recent commitments that we've had, starting with a player who's the son of one of our coaches, Drew Bobo, who committed last week, 3-star offensive lineman of Auburn, Alabama. You see his size there, and it was a Georgia-Auburn battle until last week when he chose Auburn over Georgia. Also, a few days later, Easton Harris, 3-star offensive tackle. I believe he's a right tackle, correct, Brian?
For Auburn High School, he does play right tackle, yes.
Okay, so at Auburn, Alabama, 6'6", big guy, 286 pounds, ranked 19th in the state, and he's the 42nd offensive tackle in the 2022 class. He came down between Auburn and Florida, and of course, he chose the good guys. Brian, this obviously was something that appears to be in the works, but Easton Harris, he was kind of early on in the recruiting cycle. It was like anywhere but Auburn at one point. What kind of changed for him?
Auburn recruited him really hard, and I think the guys like Powell Gordon, who's also at Auburn High School and committed, and Drew, and just Demar Austin and all those commits really helped recruit him really hard for Auburn too. And I think Auburn told him, look, you got a chance to play here at home. He's from Beauregard. He transferred to Auburn as a senior. And you got a chance to step in and play early in your career because we need help on the offensive line. And if you look at the two of those guys, Drew, I think, is an inside guy. He plays left tackle for Auburn High School because he's pretty technically good and he's got some athleticism, but I think he projects as a guard or maybe a center. I mean, I like the idea of having a 6'4", 6'5" center, and in 2 or 3 years, he'll be a much more powerful player as he gets in that weight room, in the training room. And then you look at EJ, he goes by EJ Harris or Big J. He's the guy that's got that huge upside, right? He's got that tackle body. He's got a really good athleticism. His coach described him as being nasty on the field, that Braden Smith type mentality that you want to have. Hey, I love to garden, when I'm home, and then I get on the field, I love to knock people's, ass in the, put them in the stands, so to speak. So I like what they've done here. And I also like the fact that Auburn has done such a poor job recruiting Auburn High School in this area. Recently, they missed out on so many great players that have gone to other schools. So I just like that they're getting back into recruiting Auburn High School in this area better and getting those players to come to their hometown school.
Got a super chat here from Walt Taylor. Shout out to you, Walt. B-Matt, how is Michaela Chilcote doing in her internship?
She's doing real good. We're giving them different assignments, and I think she may cover gymnastics for us this winter. Of course, got a gold medalist there, Suni, to cover, and I think that'll be real exciting, good for her, and great experience. So, good job so far.
Bryan, it seems like Demar Austin has become he's taken the lead in terms of this being the guy who's kind of rallying these recruits together. Is that the case?
That is 100% the case, and I think Demar is a great young man, a great player, great character, leader, all that, and he's showing it during recruiting, and I can't wait to see him suit up too, because you talk about having Tank and Jarquez and him as 3 backs next year. That's going to be a lot of fun, and you figure they're going to get this run blocking figured out by then. You got all these tight ends back, you got some offensive line coming in. They're probably going to bring some other ones in to help out, and I think Damari is a great pickup for recruiting right now and for the future.
So we got a lot of news about, of course, from Auburn, which obviously is becoming a new pipeline for us in terms of recruiting, which is odd because it hasn't been in years past for some strange reason. But it's one of the things that we talked about that we desperately needed was offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
And we already picked up 2, but who's still in play? I know there's Riley Quick, who's committed to Bama for baseball, but apparently he really wants to play football. Is he still a player here for Auburn, or not so much?
Maybe, but I'd be surprised. He's got the connections to Alabama. He's already committed to them for baseball.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense for him to come to Auburn. But we'll see. I guess he is a guy that's visited, and Auburn is recruiting, so it's worthwhile to keep an eye on. I think at that position, one thing we're going to see is them be very aggressive in the portal. If you look at the top offensive linemen, especially the tackles that pop up, they're gone within a couple of days because those teams just get after them. So I think you're going to see Auburn do that too. And I think it's also good what we saw from Killian Zaire, right? He steps in, has barely played ever at this level, and he has a clean game at left tackle against a solid Arkansas team. On the road, he had one, I think, penalty there, the false start. But other than that, it was a terrific outing from him. So he's a guy, and he's also a guy you think is going to get better and better as he gains experience and gets another year under his belt because he's from Germany, and hasn't played a whole bunch of American football. So now you've got a guy coming back, and you feeling better about that left tackle position at the very least. So, I think a year into this program, this coaching staff recognizes what they need to shore up, and I think offensive line and wide receiver are 2 positions they're going to really get after in the transfer portal.
B-Matt, it's the bye week, right? So we know that Harsin is out recruiting right now. Is there anybody he's paying any special attention this week?
Well, he'll definitely be out in Portland to see Darius Clemens. I mean, he's probably the number 1 guy, high school guy on Auburn's board, overall. I think he's a plug-and-play guy next year. Has that potential at the wide receiver position. You give Kobe Hudson a year to get better. We'll see who comes back and who doesn't, with the guys. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but there's going to be some turnover there. But you get a guy in like Darius Clemens. Maybe you get a graduate transfer like Taj Harris from Syracuse, who they just offered. Who's getting a lot of interest already. The guy, I think he was a second or third team All ACC player last year. And then suddenly you've got a wide receiver group that's gotten a lot better just a year later.
Got a question here from Sherman. He's asking, do you think that we can land some of the recruits that was considering LSU in Florida? I think I've heard that Shamar James decommitted from Florida.
Yeah.
Of course, we know the situation going on with Ed Orgeron at LSU and how that will impact recruits. Do you have anything on who may be considering Auburn, who was once considering Auburn and committed to LSU? Any news on that front?
Yeah, and I think the guy you mentioned, Shamar James, is a guy that Auburn would love to have. He can be an outside linebacker or an edge guy. I do think Alabama and Georgia are heavily involved with him, so that's going to be a battle. But I think one guy to watch on the other side, Latarius Welch, is a cornerback. I think he's a pretty high 4-star, committed to LSU at the moment, but he's a guy that Auburn has recruited really hard. And now you can see Damari and those guys getting onto him and talking to him on Twitter and stuff. So he's a guy that they're really pushing for right now. So that's one to keep a close eye on. And then a guy that visited, I think it was for the Georgia weekend, Austin Osbury, the safety from Baton Rouge. His dad is a assistant AD there. I think Auburn's in fairly good shape for him. I wouldn't call Auburn the leader, but I think Auburn's in, I think they got a legit chance for him, especially with the turmoil at LSU right now. So those are a couple of LSU guys. I'm sure there'll be more that Auburn gets involved with in the coming days and weeks.
Jeremy Elkos asked, B-Matt, is there anyone else at Auburn High School on AU's radar?
Yeah, well, Braden Joyner is a junior, plays defensive line, and I think he probably projects as an offensive guard or center, but maybe defense. But he's got a bunch of big SEC offers. Auburn is recruiting him. They haven't officially offered yet, but he's definitely one to watch for the future there. And they've got some other good athletes. I think they'll probably have 4 or 5 other guys signed this year. So definitely a talented program, one that's probably going to make it to at least the semifinals. We'll see. Central, I went to that game, Central and Auburn High School, and Central took it to them pretty good. So if they're going to get to the finals, they'll have to probably get past Central again. So that's going to be an area they're going to have to prove on.
William Kelly asks, what about Trevion Williams? He just decommitted from FSU. And there's some guys also too. I think I don't know if he's decommitted yet, but he was committed an old lineman, Antavius Woody, as well. I don't know if Auburn is really going after him or not. But what about Trevion Williams?
Yeah, I mean, he is a guy that Auburn is interested in. I don't know how much interest he has back there, but he's a guy that Auburn's really recruited pretty hard. I know Ole Miss was after him too, and I think he's been committed to Florida State. I guess he was committed to Florida State for a little while, I guess this summer. But he is definitely a guy that Auburn is involved with. You mentioned Tay Woody from Lafayette. He is a guy that's committed to FSU, I think, still. But Auburn is on him really, really hard. I'd be surprised if he's stuck with FSU. And then another guy, possible flip, is Robert Woodyard from Williamson down in Mobile. He's a Alabama commitment, 4-star linebacker. And I think Auburn's been recruiting him really, really hard. I did not see him. I went down the field, but I believe he was here for the Georgia game. And I think he's a guy that could also flip. So I think, I think Auburn's recruiting.
Did he get injured recently?
I think he might have.
Okay.
But I think you're about to see Auburn with the success they're having on the field, how hard they've recruited and how consistently they've recruited some of these kids. I think you're going to see Auburn finish this class really, really good going into that early signing day in December.
B-Matt, I have a question about in-state recruiting. So Nick Saban has been kicking our ass in state for a while now.
Yep.
And we asked when Harsin got hired if there was a plan to expand our recruiting reach by possibly putting some more dollars in there. But in terms of in-state, what is the strategy with in-state recruits? And with the firing of Cornelius Williams, which I was told was not popular with a lot of the high school coaches in the state. Are they going to be able to recover from that, or is that something that's going to linger into the early signing period?
That's interesting because I'm with you on that. It certainly didn't help Auburn in state, but then again, it's a pretty good year in state. Auburn's already got, I think, 7 of their 13 commitments. Over half are from in-state players so far. I think that's right. And, they're involved with some other really good in-state players. We've already mentioned a bunch of them. So I don't see it having a big effect so far. But, Cornelius is a great recruiter. He's got great relationships in state. So I can't imagine it, not having some effect. But so far it's been, nothing drastic has occurred. Let's put it that way.
I want to ask about, you mentioned that we were in on a linebacker recruit. The 2 areas on defense that I'm most interested, because we've got a lot of senior players that are getting a lot of playing time right now, is the linebacker core. Of course, we're going to lose, the heart and soul of that linebacker core after this season. And then the defensive backfield with Roger McCreary and Smoke likely being gone. Do we have any solid, whether they're people who are currently on the team who we feel people are confident can step in and play, or are there solid leads on some other guys who can play day one starting next year from your knowledge?
I think linebacker, you can probably, Chandler and Jacoby are both seniors. I think they'll move on. I think there's a pretty good chance that Popo will probably declare. This is my gut instinct.
Our entire linebacker core, right?
Right. I think the next guy up is Wesley Steiner. We've seen him play a fairly good bit this year. You can see he needs to improve. Right. But I think that experience is going to help him get there. I do think that's an area that Auburn can look at some JUCO guys possibly. And I think a young guy that we haven't seen a lot of, at least not on the field on defense, but maybe on special teams, Joko Willis is a guy that, if you watch this film, you watch this JUCO film, the guy has tremendous closing speed, will pop you. We've seen that on I don't remember if it was a kick return or punt return.
It was definitely a kick return.
Yeah. So you feel like that guy with the spring, maybe he could start to come on and help Auburn there. And then I think Auburn may look at a JUCO or a transfer linebacker, a middle guy, and we'll see what other guys develop. Powell Gordon's another guy that's committed from Auburn High School. Probably needs to bulk up to be an inside guy, but pretty rangy guy, could certainly be an outside linebacker type, grow into one of those middle guys that runs around really good and tackles well in space, or like Zacoby and Owen do now.
Auburn Dad, good to hear from you, my friend. Has a question for you. Heard Boutte might be hitting the portal as well. Maybe the first you're hearing that, B Matt.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
he
I know
is
he's
a
hurt.
superstar.
Yeah, I know he's hurt, but Ed Orgeron was a pretty popular players coach. However, some of his,
that was why, because the team was terrible. But all right.
Well, some of his antics here at the end said that he was inviting girlfriends to practice, and their kids were taking reps in drills. Literally, like just some crazy stuff. So I mean, if anything, might have turned some of the players against them. I mean, it seemed pretty widespread. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some high-profile names transfer out of there after the season is over, for sure.
Well,
but I would love to get Boutte.
Boutte would be that would be the biggest. I mean, you talk about an upgrade at wide receiver. Good grief.
Can I ask you about Holden Garner?
Yeah.
Hopefully I said his name right.
I think that's right.
Yeah, right. I've heard people call him Grenier a lot. So this kid's coming in. Rivals upgraded him to a 4-star just recently. He got a 4-star on Rivals. And he is a pro-style quarterback. Like, what do what's Auburn's kind of strategy at quarterback here? I mean, we've got Bo, who could stay another year. We've got D. Davis in here. TJ Finley transferred in. Now you're bringing in this other kid. Is Holden it at quarterback, or is there anybody else on their board that they've got as a backup just in case he pulls a last-minute flip or something?
Well, they started out recruiting a couple of quarterbacks, and I think once they got TJ in, They decided to sort of settle on Holden. However, I wouldn't rule out anything there. I mean, first, we don't know exactly what Bo's going to do. I expect he'll return because I don't think he's supposed to be a high draft pick. I don't know that, but I mean,
it probably depends on how he finishes the season.
Right.
If he finishes really strong, then he might declare. But.
Right. But I think Auburn, if they feel great about TJ, they'll bring in Holden and they'll try to sign another good quarterback in the 23 class. I also think there's a possibility there's going to be some good quarterbacks available in the transfer portal after the season. So if Auburn needs to go that way, I think there's a real possibility they could do that. And, there could be some guys out there that maybe Auburn fans recognize. We'll see.
Okay. Got a question here from Michael Morrison. Any news on Curtis Perry? I'm hearing there's some interest there, but I'm hearing he's leaning towards Bama. What are your thoughts concerning Curtis Perry? He would be a huge addition for the D-line, but what are your thoughts?
He's from Pike Road, just down the road in Montgomery, or outside Montgomery. Very talented defensive tackle. Could also play offensive line if you wanted to, but probably going to stick to defense because of his athleticism. But I think Auburn's in it. I wouldn't say that Auburn is the team to beat, or I don't feel super confident about it. But, I mean, there are surprises in recruiting, so maybe this will be a guy that surprises us, right? I mean, he does have connections here. He has visited here a number of times, so we'll have to wait and see. But, if Alabama's not the team to beat, I'd be, they're close to it, right? So that's going to be a tougher one to get, but Auburn is in the mix there.
Let me ask a question about that, too. Like, we're super, we're not even to the end of the season, so it's probably difficult to ascertain this. But how many of these folks do you expect to commit during the early signing period? Like they're just going to go ahead and not wait until National Signing Day. How many of the ones that we already have committed do you think, they're just going to go ahead and make it happen early?
I think all 13 are going to go ahead and sign with Auburn in December, and I think Auburn will probably end up adding more to this class before all is said and done. I think it's gotten so most of the guys go ahead and commit and sign in December. I know that the Osbury kid told me that he wanted to wait and commit at an all-star game possibly and then sign late, but we'll see. But I think Auburn's going to take 19 or 20 in this class. I think they're going to, you can sign, 7 now, transfers if you lose 7. But I think Auburn's going to go over that. So they're going to need to save some spots for that because I just think year one under Harsin, there's going to be more turnover than there was when he first got here because now everybody sort of knows exactly where they stand, the coaches and the players. Right. So this is when you're going to see the biggest turnover of players, I think.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens in both the quarterback and wide receiver room when it comes to transfers, just because there's just so few seats left on the bus, right? Like, and a lot of these guys have a lot of eligibility in front of them, but where's their opportunity to play, especially at quarterback where, I mean, look, TJ, Demetrius, Holden. If Bo comes back another year, I don't know how all 3 of those guys stay. One of them's got to get out of here because it just doesn't make a ton of sense. And then you still got, some of the walk-on guys who they might stay on the team. I mean, but like, what's their chances of maybe going somewhere JUCO or something like that where they can actually get some playing time? And then wide receiver, if we're going to go and sign, like if we land Darius Clemens and we get a big, you're talking about this grad transfer that might come in. Right. I don't know how we retain all the receivers, that young talent that's in that room.
Yeah, there's no way. They're going to move on, especially the guys who have been here a couple of years and aren't playing. I mean, something could change over the last 5 games with some of those guys. You just never know. But I don't want to name them all, but Elijah Kenyon's one that just doesn't seem to fit with this group and doesn't get much playing time. You figured he's going to move on and find a better spot for him. That fits, but he hasn't said that. But I'm just anybody that hasn't played a lot this season, that's a sophomore or been around a couple of years, I put him high on the list as a candidate to go ahead and transfer.
Has Evans been injured?
I've heard rumor that JJ Evans is still dealing with a lingering injury, but also heard that, he probably wouldn't crack the starting rotation even if he were completely healthy. I mean, is that I'm assuming there's a high probability that he's going to leave after the end of the season as well.
I think both are right. I know he's been banged up at times. I don't know his current status, but I've also heard that he's really not in the mix to play. So he's definitely another guy. And sometimes those guys just stick around and want to go to school, want to work hard, be a part of the team. And as long as they're not having trouble, maybe they will stick around. But most of the time they want to go find some place to play. And that's what I would expect for a lot of them.
Yeah, I think with the advent of the portal, right, there's always some team that will take a kid that can be an immediate impact. For example, if Canyon decided to leave, I have no doubt he'll find a spot someplace quickly, right, and be able to play and have an impact this year. So
the situation with TJ though, like TJ Finley is a curious one because he's already used his transfer portal, freebie basically where he can go and play immediately. If what is your bead on, let's just take the scenario Bo Nix is back for another season. Does TJ stick around, right? Like, cause he can't, if he transfers somewhere, he can't play immediately unless he transfers down to junior college. Right. And so like, does he just stay here and try to fight it out for a spot between him, Demetrius Davis, and a potential another transfer quarterback that could come in? Right. Like, I just don't know how he plays that.
Well, I'm just guessing here, but my guess would be if he feels like he's in line to be the next guy, he's already transferred once. Let's stick it out and see how that goes. And the other thing he can do is, unless he wants to go to junior college, as you said, he can continue to go to school here, get his degree, and then maybe be eligible to be a grad transfer. I don't know how long it's going to take him, but maybe in a couple of years or maybe by next year at some point he would be eligible to do that. So I think he ought to keep his options open. I thought that who's the quarterback that transferred to Kentucky into
from us?
Yes. I can't even think.
Gatewood?
Yeah. I just thought he made mistakes because he needs to play. Joey Gatewood needs to play football, and everywhere he's transferred to, he's ended up losing the starting job and doesn't play. Him more than anybody needed to go to junior college like Cam Newton did and have that great year and then find a place where he fits. So maybe that's what TJ needs to do. But if not junior college, then he probably needs to stick it out until he A, gets passed by somebody, or B, can graduate transfer somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think that the outlook is as bleak for TJ Finley. But number one, the year's not over.
All right.
So literally anything can happen between now and the end of the year. Number two, we do have some tape on him now getting in the game and doing some things here at Auburn, which Harsin seems to value. So everything I've heard about him says that he's a competitor. We're being made to believe that he's really pushing Bo every week in practice. So I wouldn't have no doubt that he would be in the mix if, people transferred out or went pro.
Yeah. And I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think my optimism for Demetrius is what has me down on TJ's prospects more than anything, right? Like, I just think that if Demetrius Davis is who we think he is, and Bo Nix comes back, then Dede might be the number 2 next year, right? And TJ slips down to the 3rd.
If that happens, that would put TJ in a bit of a quandary, because I know he's here to compete, but he's definitely not here to be the number 3 guy for sure. So I don't know what happens there. And for all accounts, we've been hearing that Demetrius Davis has just needed to basically learn the speed of the game at this level. And if he gets that down, we've seen Harsin rave about Demetrius Davis even in fall camp. So he has a lot of upside. So I'm curious to see what happens there. Walt Taylor has one, says, are we getting anyone from Gwinnett County? That's a talent-rich area. Do you know?
No, but I don't know all the high schools in Gwinnett County. So maybe somebody Auburn's getting from there. Nothing pops into my head right away, but it is a place that Auburn recruits really hard. I'm originally from Doraville, Georgia, which is not Gwinnett, it's DeKalb County, but I'm familiar with the area somewhat, but nothing pops in my head right away.
Dorian Hurd, LaTerrence Welch tagging Damari on Twitter, throwing out teasers to Auburn fans. I believe he might come, and I guess that alludes to what we talked about earlier with Damari pretty much being very active on Twitter, engaging these recruits and building relationships there. So,
if you're B-Matt, if you're Bryan Harsin this week, you're possibly sitting in Darius Clemens' living room, talking to him right now. And what is this staff selling to recruits right now? I can tell you one thing, for as high up as they are on this kid, number 1 kid in the state of Oregon, right? Like, he can at least say, look at us try to throw the ball.
Right. Well, and look at this opportunity. right?
Mm-hmm.
Play in the SEC, play in the SEC West against the best teams in the country, step in right away and potentially be a starter, have maybe a senior quarterback and a better offensive line and a great group of running backs around you, and be part of this offense that you saw improve a bunch this year and is ready to take that next step and be special in 2022.
Yeah, I watched Clemens tape, man. He's a game breaker.
Yep. They got to have that one guy. They don't have a one right now, right? They've got some threes maybe. No offense to the current guys, but they just don't have a number one guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, the closest person is Kobe Hudson. He's probably got the most natural wide receiver skills with the ball in his hand. And maybe another year of him, maturing in the system, he can grow into that spot. But yeah, I do agree that we still don't have that guy that you just, a Butte where it's just like, man, you have to guard that guy. Or what's the guy who just ripped us apart from Arkansas?
Trayshawn
Smith, I think.
I don't know, whatever his name is. He's a game
Burks.
breaker as well.
Burks, right?
Burks.
Yeah. Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
It's a lot of questions in here about Tavares Dawson and what he's looking like. What's the deal there from what?
Yeah, I think he was a COVID issue early on. I think he got banged up again. He's a guy we kept hearing that he's ready to break out, because he was like one or two guys, that were true big play targets in this offense. Him and D-Rob were the two that had that type of speed, that type of ability, but just hasn't happened. So, I'm gonna ask again after this week to see how he's doing. Maybe this will be it. But he's sort of an X factor now. Maybe the second half of the season here he can come clean and get out there and do something special, or maybe he's a guy that next year can surprise some people and come on and be a big part of the rotation. But it's kind of been a little disappointing that we haven't got to see much of him so far this year.
I mean, it seems at this point he's going to redshirt unless he just breaks through. I mean, right. I expect if you haven't seen a freshman at this point, I don't, unless there's some serious injuries that take place, right?
Well, probably he could still play in 4 games in redshirt because of the new rules. Sure. And also you got to take a look at a guy like Landon King, which just a few weeks ago was on the scout team, impresses Brian Harsin, earns a spot, comes in here and starts showing he can make plays. Not perfect, fell down on a third down pass, I think, and had a couple of drops, but you can see his athleticism. You can see that he's going to become a really good football player for Auburn over the next few years. And maybe Tavares can do something like that. We'll see. So the one thing I would say about Brian is he always talks about we're always competing in practice over and over again. He talks about it. And I think he's being real about that, right? Because you've seen it now with players that compete and can come in here and actually play. I mean, they earn a spot. Killian Zaire is an example. He competed. He was ready to go when I'm sorry.
Troxel.
When Troxel got a little banged up. Troxel was healthy enough to go on the road. He went through warm-ups with the second team, but they had enough faith in Killian Zaire to start him, and he had that terrific game. So I think this coaching staff has sort of put this in this players' minds that they can compete and win a job even if they are second or third team now, and the players believe that.
Cleveland Brown says, thoughts on Valdosta Studs, Peak, and I guess Rhymes?
You know what? I'm more of the team guy. I do not know all the names, so I am so sorry, Cleveland Brown. I do not have the answer for you on those guys. I'm not familiar with them.
We had a question about Auburn potentially taking another running back, giving our running back situation with Tank coming back next year. Hunter basically proving himself to be a legitimate option or in the backfield as well. We already know Demar Austin, who's already committed. Is there any plans of Auburn taking another running back in this class, you think?
They recruited Quishon Judkins, right, who committed to Ole Miss. But in the end, Auburn decided, we're not going to take another running back in this class unless he's special. And I don't think they felt like the Judkins was special enough. He's a good player, maybe a great player. There's a kid committed to LSU right now, Trevante Citizen. That is that
Auburn
great
was
player.
after him initially, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think we lost him during the whole transition, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Auburn is still recruiting him. Carnell is, and that's the guy they would take no matter what. But I think he's from Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. Lake Charles. So he's a guy that they're probably, if LSU hires a good coach, that guy's going to get some momentum too, right? And it's not like everybody's going to just jump out of LSU's commitment class, and that didn't happen to Auburn during the transition. It's certainly not going to happen to LSU in that state. So I think most likely Auburn does not sign another running back. It's just Demar Austin. They feel good about the guys that get coming back, and even Sean Jackson, the walk-on.
Yes.
I think it's a really good player, right? I mean, he's certainly worthy of being a scholarship player. So I think they're going to have a ton of depth as long as everybody's healthy with Tank, Jarquez, and Damari next year. That's a really good. That's something Auburn hasn't had in a long time.
What about the transfer kid from what was it, Central Michigan? Jordan Ingram.
Yeah. We saw him a lot in the preseason because everybody was hurt or out with COVID or whatever. Has not played much at all this year, but I think they like him. He is not a necessarily, he isn't a breakaway guy, but he is got some running ability. He's got really good vision, finds the hole well. I just think he's a guy they felt like needed a red shirt to get a little bit bigger and stronger, more physical, hold on to the ball better, break tackles better. But I think he has a future here too. I just think he's more of he's not a step in and play right away guy.
Yeah, I like the depth that we've taken a pretty huge turn in the running back room depth. The end of last season to now. So,
well, listen, we're at the hour mark, and it's ticket time, ain't it?
It is ticket time. We got 421 people in here on a Wednesday.
Nice.
How many people do we have in this? This is exciting.
A grand total of 71.
What? Listen, guys, we are giving away tickets. Hashtag Be Ole Miss. This is courtesy. I'm remiss that I didn't say this the first two times. My guy, Mike Parrish, he is one of our biggest supporters. Came to us from Zach Blackerby over at Locked On. Love the community, so he's supporting both. But Mike and his dad, Dave, have donated these tickets. That's Mike and Dave Parrish have donated these tickets so that we can give them away to you guys tonight. Hashtag Beat Ole Miss. Listen, our community is so good, right? You guys just give things to us to give to other people, which I think is amazing.
Super.
Come Christmas time, we got to do something. We got to do a food drive, or we got to do something to help the less fortunate around the holidays. But we love community here. I love giving back to the community. We're going to get this thing going. Hashtag Beat Ole Miss. While I'm waiting for you guys to pile in here, B-Matt, I got to ask you, is there, and I know we kind of talked about flipping recruits. Is there one recruit that's way off the wall that this staff kind of wants and nobody thinks we're going to have a shot at, but, Bryan Harsin is going to put a full court press on them?
Well, I think I mentioned him, so it was not way off the wall, but this is as far off the wall as I can go. Is that Robert Woodyard kid from Faith Academy down there in Mobile? I mean, from Williamson. Shamar James from Faith Academy. But yeah, when's the last time Auburn flipped an Alabama commitment? Right, it just doesn't happen.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, even getting kids out of the southern part of the state in Mobile, right? When I think about all the good kids that came out of there, I think Julio Jones came out of Mobile a really long time ago. I really hope this staff has a strategy to get back in the mix for some of these high-rated kids in state.
Trey Williams comes to mind as like one of the high-rated kids we was able to get from Mobile in recent years. But it's been mostly Bama for those kids coming out of their region.
Okay, so again, before we run this, now coming down the stretch here, especially with the early signing period, now it's taken some of the pizzazz out of National Signing Day in February, right? Because these kids are committing early and they're signing letters of intent early. How big does the Iron Bowl get this year if you're Bryan Harsin, given the current trajectory that the program is on, and what will that mean for recruiting?
Well, I mean, Auburn's got a shot to go into that game with playing for the SEC West title, right? I mean, that's legitimate. Ole Miss and Texas A&M are win or lose games. South Carolina, Mississippi State are games you should win. So if they can win a couple more of those win or lose games, they're right there playing Bama for the championship. And Alabama has got great talent, but they're not as great a team as they were a year ago. You've got the Jordan-Hare Stadium factor. You've got a coaching staff that knows how to put together a winning plan. And by then you'll have a team of players that you feel like is going to be more prepared to execute that plan, even against better players. So if Auburn gets to that, I would give them a legitimate shot to pull off a crazy upset and win it.
Yeah, I just think in terms of recruiting, if you're Jimbo Fisher, how big was beating Bama this year for recruiting for you?
Yeah. And I agree. It was big for them, and that would be huge for Auburn. It would be. I mean, Auburn's beaten Alabama in 17 and 19 at home, but it hasn't necessarily carried over to recruiting, right?
Right.
But when you're new staff and new coaches, and people don't know much about you because you're from the Northwest, you're from Boise, Idaho, but you come into Auburn and you have this type of a season, and then you beat a team like Alabama at home, and the crowd goes crazy, and that you have all these players in for this big atmosphere. I think this coaching staff is more prepared because they have a head coach that understands it better, in my opinion, to capitalize on wins like that and not just let it slip away,
Yeah. Listen, I will say this, B-Matt. I think that it didn't carry over in recruiting before because while Gus
We
did
won the
beat,
game, but it didn't feel like we were the better team on the field.
yeah, like Gus
Right.
did beat Bama every once in a while. There was always some inexplicable loss that we weren't supposed to have that we had in that season that kind of watered down and made it seem kind of fluky. So far, through Brian Harsin's 7 games, he has not technically lost the game that he was supposed to win.
Right. And, I don't want to, Nick Saban's the best coach of all time, probably. But he is getting up there, right?
Yeah.
So if Harsin was to beat him, you could start talking about his time has moved on and it's time for this new young coach, right? I mean, isn't that sort of becoming?
Yeah.
Would that not become sort of a talking point you could use in recruiting? I'm not saying Saban may not win another 2 or 3 national championships before he retires. I'm not saying he won't.
Right.
But you can make the case that he is starting to get up there in age, and maybe it's time for some new blood.
I don't know, B-Matt. Listen, when I started to believe in what Saban was, it was a long time ago. I think it was 2003, or maybe it was 2002, and I think it was LSU versus Kentucky. And you know what I'm talking? The play I'm talking about?
Ridiculous play there at the end of the game
to Devery Henderson, and he catches the ball and Strider runs. And I remember I was in the athletic department after the game. I put my camera away, and I was like, you know what? I believe in my heart that Nick Saban sold his soul to the devil for football wins, right?
Yeah.
And since then, he has just been kind of on this tear. My mom, we were talking about the other day, she was like, son, every dynasties have to fall sometime. I was like, no, this is a long ass dynasty.
Still waiting.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. He is getting up there, but I believe that this guy, when you listen to him, he doesn't sound like he's got any quit in him just yet.
No. Oh no,
right?
never.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, where we at?
Let me grab some of these supers real quick, Ike, before we get into that. Jack Singley says, don't forget about Sean Jackson in the running back room. He's a walking boulder. Also, we got, let me get down here real quick because we got a few. Cleveland says, new question for B-Matt. How refreshing is it to see Auburn getting attention from recruits that would have been long shots under Gus?
Very refreshing. Absolutely, 100%. It is different, right? I can tell you a former assistant would say, I can get a commitment from anybody, but I can't hold on to him because I've got to hold on to him against Kirby or some other head coach, right? Because he didn't have the backing of his own head coach to get out there and make that daily connection, like some of these other guys do. So, yes, it is very refreshing.
Interesting.
Jeremy Sharp, appreciate that, brother. Let's do it, Ike.
All right, 112 now. That's a good enough number for me. We're going to hit this button. Somebody's getting tickets tonight. Let's do it.
Let's get tickets. Mike and Dave Parrish. Thank them. If you see Mike in the comments, make sure you say thank you for the tickets. Who's it going to be? Kelsey.
Congratulations.
Are you here?
You're gonna have to say you're here. Actually, he just put something in the chat. So
I'm about to say I just saw him pop back in here and do it again. So he's definitely here.
Maybe his internet went out. Rules are rules. Kelsey, are you here? Holla at us. You got it.
And yet people still say he's gone.
Yeah, he gone.
He might be on a delay too, because he just put that in the chat a second ago. So we'll see.
There he is.
Yeah,
Nope.
nah, man.
Boom.
Hey, listen. Email us business@thewar report. That's business@thewar report, and I'm going to get these tickets to you. We expect you to go. We expect you
go
to take your best friend. You get 2 tickets now, so take someone you love or somebody you owe money, and tell them the War Report sent you. Also, if you got any War Report gear, we do ask that you wear that to the game, snap a selfie, high five somebody, say, hey, War Eagle and War Report. So we appreciate it. It's so much fun giving away tickets every week.
Yeah.
It is so much fun giving away
Indeed.
tickets. So there'll be more of that to come before the end of the season here, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll get some more tickets donated. There's a lot of you are season ticket holders. When you can't make it, you hit us up and say, hey, would you like to gift these to somebody? We love doing that. So thank you for being a part of it.
We're going to do it again in a couple of weeks for Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Listen, this is going to be these games. Every single one of these games is historic, guys. This is Bryan Harsin's first season. This could be the start of the dynasty that you're witnessing in person. I personally have not been to a Auburn game in Auburn, Alabama for about 16 years until Georgia this week, B-Matt.
Yeah.
It was interesting being there and then just watching it. I had to contain all my stuff in the press box, but
I'm sorry you had to watch it from the worst press box in the SEC.
Oh my goodness. Listen, the guy I was
Worse
sitting
in Arkansas?
Arkansas?
I mean, it's just sealed up. You can't get in the flavor of the stadium. You can't hear
It's a sardine can. But the guy I was sitting next to, Ike sat next to him at the last game. He's just an OG guy. So, he's been writing for a while. He looks at me and was like, your partner was here last week and he couldn't contain himself. Right?
Alabama State game.
Yeah, he was like, your partner who was here last year, he was having a hard time keeping it on the inside. Right?
Oh, goodness.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, yep, that sounds like Isaac. So, we'll be back. But hey, again, congratulations to our ticket winner. We're going to be giving away more stuff, more T-shirts, more mugs. We appreciate you guys being a part of our community.
B-Matt, I have a question for you, man. Where realistically do you see Auburn finishing in recruiting when it's all said and done? Given the guys who are out there, who Auburn is afterwards, there's a lot of movement going on. With every end of every season, you have coaching changes, guys getting fired, recruits, or their recruitment is up in the air all of a sudden. Where do you think, when it all shakes out, Auburn finishes in recruiting?
We're 35 right now.
Yeah, and they've only got 13 commitments, and most of the guys in the top 20 have 18 to 20 to 23. They're pretty high up there. So I think Auburn has a legitimate chance to finish in the top 20, 25. If they only get 19 or 20 commitments, it's probably not going to be as high as if they got, the 25 or 26, whatever, like some schools will get. But I still think it's going to be a good class. And I also think that with the transfer portal, it's not all about the stars now. It's changed. It's about talent acquisition, and you can get really good players through the transfer portal if you do your job. So I think Auburn's got a plan to win and to have really good football teams. And it includes going out there and signing great players in the recruiting class, but also includes using that portal to the best of its ability.
Do you think it almost seems, I felt like Auburn was going to have to hit the portal hard after this recruiting cycle, just because of when Harsin got hired, the dead period, their inability, because of where they were coming from, not being able to make inroads with these recruits. They're going to have to go to the portal. But it seems almost as that they're going to probably go to the portal, but they don't need it as bad as what it may have appeared to several months earlier this year. Is that the case?
I think so. Yeah, I think the recruiting has gotten better. And I think if you look at the guys that Auburn's still recruiting, they're a bunch of highly recruited players. It's not a bunch of 2 and 3 stars or whatever. It's a bunch of 4 and 4 stars and Rivals 100 players. So they're going to take their shot. especially if they finish up as good as they could finish up, and then get a bunch of guys in for the Iron Bowl on official visits and in early December before the sign-up period. There could be a lot of excitement around this program. And I've also, this is the most that I've seen commitments work together on other players through social media and other ways, So they've done a great job of rallying those guys. I don't think that's an accident. I think that's part of Harson's plan and part of having this big staff that can work on these different areas.
Yeah, social media has become such a big part of what recruiting is. Now that we've started to get out there, we're running a joint segment with auburnsports.com with you guys where we kind of do little video snippets, highlights of recruits to let people know, measurables on recruits. And it's so funny. They're watching. These recruits are watching. We did one on Kobe Albert, right? Yeah, right. His dad responded to my post and said, this is nice, but let me update these stats for you. He's got 2 more interceptions, and I was dying. And so they messaged me and said, hey, if you need anything else, let me know. And I was like, well, if you got any embarrassing stories I can tell on camera, I'll definitely take them. But the recruits, their parents, they're all paying attention. Social media has become a huge part of it. Now, during the Bryan Harsin era, I have noticed that we have stepped our social media game up significantly. Right. The Auburn media machine has been on fire with clips and things that are just really kind of exciting, especially, before the season started. I saw a lot of stuff that was coming out that just really kind of got us going. And then the scene in the locker room with Mr. Serious himself with the players celebrating the win, I thought was just so good. If you're a recruit, what does that kind of thing do, for you? If you're seeing this and you're seeing the coach get in there and spray fake champagne with his players.
You can see there's a buy-in, right? You can see these players believe in him, right? I mean, I think he's a bit of a hard ass on them, but he also has an ability to connect with them.
Yeah.
You can just see that you don't react that way if you don't feel that way about your coach. So I think that's big. And talking about their social media game, I don't know, but the thing they did after Arkansas with the I don't know how you explain it. It was still pictures and video all sort of put together, scrolling across your screen. It was pretty incredible. I was really impressed with what they're doing these days. It's really crazy, and they do a great job of getting stuff out to commits and to prospects about wishing them luck before their game or putting up little things about what type of game they had that Friday night and such. Or it's just you're right. They're very, very involved in that.
B-Matt, in your opinion, how do you see the season finishing for Auburn?
I'm
putting you on the spot there. How do you see us finishing up these final 5 games before we get into it? We got some basketball talk that some people want to get into, but how to put a bow on football, how do you see us finishing this season?
Okay, I think they're going to win 1 of 2 against Ole Miss and A&M. I think they're going to beat South Carolina and Mississippi State. So that's 3-1. That's 8-3 going into Bama. I think they're going to beat Alabama at home in the Iron Bowl. I just have that feeling.
Call it the upset in the Iron Bowl.
So that's 9 wins. I don't know if that's enough to get them in the SEC championship game. It may be good that Auburn's not going, right? That may not be the worst thing to finish up 9-3 and then get to a really good bowl game.
Yeah, call it a wraps after that because I don't know anybody wants to play Georgia again.
Right. Let Alabama do that. Yeah.
So, right.
So that's the way I'm going to call it. And boy, this basketball team's looking good too, right? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. Well, we got a question about recruiting. Patrick Judkins has asked, do we get Jarvis Walker?
Yeah, same thing. Corey Webb.
I'm going to say yes. I'm not saying that Auburn is a team to beat. I'm guaranteeing it. But, yeah, I think Auburn's going to end up getting them. Yeah, why not? He is about a 6'7", looks like built like almost like a linebacker, just really strong physical kid, but another of those elite stretch 4 guys. You can go back and look at Chuma and the dude with the Cavs right now.
Isaac
Okoro, right, and of course Jabari Smith. I mean, he's the next perfect stretch 4 for Auburn. So yep, another one. Yep, absolutely.
And by the way, Virginia double dribbled. So
yes, they did.
Every.
Yep.
So how you feel so is there a lot of there's a lot of optimism around this team. We had the what's the guy who got injured, Flanagan, I
Flanagan, right?
believe.
Mhm.
Is looking like he's kind of hopeful to return a little bit sooner. Is he on track to get back to the team soon?
Mid-December, which is just, a couple of months from now, and Auburn will still be in non-conference play then. And I think the positive you can take from that is that you're going to get more minutes for Chris Moore. You're going to get more minutes for a guy like Jalen Williams and Jabari Smith. You're going to be able to find different ways to use them. So those guys can develop a little bit more. And when Allen comes back, you're getting a great defender, a great shooter, a great leader, a guy who can drive and finish and draw fouls and do all those things you probably need from a veteran, like Allen. But I like this team. I love the big guys, of course. It's, as Bruce said, it's as good a front court as he's had in his career. I mean, I think Walker Kessler is a special player.
Mm-hmm.
Jabari is not just a really good basketball player, but he's a really good leader, a really good kid, a really good all-around just person. And I think he just got it. I think as far as being a good teammate.
Second team All SEC as a
Yep.
true freshman.
Yep. And then I think KD Johnson is a guy that everybody underrates a little bit. I think he's a shutdown type of defender. I think his three-point shot is going to be much better over a year ago, and it was still, decent. And I think he's a guy that's going to develop also that ability to drive and to be a guy who can get to the foul line too.
What do we look like from the point guard position with the other kid going pro?
Well, with Zepp and KD on the court together, they're going to shut down opposing backcourts. They're going to be just getting in people's heads because they're so aggressive and so good defensively. And then Wendell Green's a little bit different than Zepp. He's the guy who's going to shoot from anywhere. He's going to not be afraid to take that, shot at the end of the half, the shot at the end of the game from, the 25-footer that he knocks down. He's that type of player, but he can also drive inside and make plays and, be that assist type of point guard too. But I think they complement each other pretty well. I think Auburn's got to get, a little bit better play out of its wings without Allen Flanagan. I think KD is one guy that's going to play really well. We'll see about Devin Cambridge. Can he be a consistent shooter? And can he be a consistent driver? Because he's really good when he drives in the lane and finishes near the basket, and he just doesn't do it enough. And then we'll see what Chris Moore becomes. I think he has one of the prettiest shots on the team. We'll just see how well he can handle the ball and how much of a floor player he can be.
Let me ask you about offensive identity for this Auburn team. The last Final Four team we had would pass up a layup for a three-pointer.
Right.
What kind of offensive identity is this version of Bruce Pearl's squad going to have?
And I think Baylor led the nation in three-pointers when they won it last year. So that is an important part. I don't think Auburn's quite there yet with this team. Not with Flanagan hurt and, maybe them missing out on the kid from Arkansas who couldn't get in because of his grades. They don't really have the guys to be that type of team. But I do think they can still be a really good team because they've got guys like Jabari who can hit that mid-range jumper, which nobody does anymore. Really, they've got a guy, Walker Kessler, who is incredible around the basket. He is Kevin McHale when he's making a move at the post, and they can also step outside and knock down the three too. So I think it's going to be a different team than you normally see from a Bruce Pearl team, where you have those guards flying around and shooting the threes. Jabari is going to be a three-point shooter, maybe Auburn's leader when it comes to the percentage-wise. But I still think this is a team that's going to have to be more balanced than maybe that Final Four team was.
Yeah. Who's the pure shooter on this team?
Chris Moore has the prettiest shot. Flanagan's probably the best scorer on the team when he's healthy. And then, Jabari may be the guy who actually leads the team in three-pointers and three-point shooting just because he's so skilled in all areas and because team has to respect him and what he can do with the ball in his hands, driving or pulling up or finishing.
Did I hear that right? That Pearl felt like this is his most talented front court ever?
Yeah, there's ever had. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he said that.
That's high praise considering his career.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's had some great inside players at Tennessee. Seems like he's always had great forwards when he was there. But I think just having a guy like Jalen Williams, who I think at a lot of programs, maybe a guy like Jalen would have transferred, right? Because a true freshman's coming in and basically is going to be the starter, and you're a junior who's sort of paid his dues and worked his way up and been a starter in the league and played pretty good. But he's going to have to find a way to, probably be a sixth man for most of the season. I'm sure he'll start some, but yeah, it's some pretty good depth when he's your third or fourth option, down there in the front court.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what we look like in basketball. It's amazing to see that Auburn is actually reloading.
Yeah.
So is Jabari going to be that guy that, listen, late in the shot clock, we're just going to give it to him and let him go to work? Because that's, to me, that's been the thing that's been an Achilles heel in the half court for Auburn for a while. Like, good ball movement, good ability to space the floor, but like just having that guy, like, listen, ISO, let him go get a bucket. Like, is Jabari going to be that guy for this team this year?
I think he can be and will be at times. I don't think there's necessarily that one guy, though, because when Flanagan's in the game, you would think he's that guy. Wendell Green's got that mentality, so I think sometimes he can be that guy too. And I think KD Johnson has that mentality too. So
that's good that we've got multiple options, so it's not just on one person. But yeah.
But if I was on the floor bouncing the ball and I wanted to give it to somebody to make the last pass, I'd be passing it to Jabari, absolutely, because he is so skilled and he does have that ability to hit the three, to drive and pull up and hit the 12-footer, or to take it all away and lay it in, or even drop it off to one of his teammates.
Is he one and done, Bryan?
Yeah, definitely. And he's not the superstar athlete, that you see in some NBA teams, but he is skilled and smart enough to be a really good NBA player, I think.
Yeah. How do you compete year in, year out? Your best player goes to the NBA every year.
You keep signing those players, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Jarris Walker could be another one of those kids. Yeah, I think Trey Donaldson is going to be a superstar, but he's probably a 2 or 3 year player. And then who is there? They got another. Do they have another commitment yet in this class? I don't think they do. But they're going to get it. They're going to get a really good forward, and if not Jarris, I'll get somebody else really good.
How savvy do you have to be as a coach? Because you do have to reload every year with finding the best player, but you're also competing with the G League as well.
Yep.
With some of these kids who can go and just make some money for a little bit until in a waiting room before they go off and make millions. Like, how savvy do you have to be as a recruiter that we want a guy who's really good, but not too good because we got to compete with that? Like, how does that even work?
Well, you got to do it like baseball does, right? Because they got to worry about that every year too, because so many of the top talent guys out of high school are signed, with $1 million contracts right away. So you've got to take those guys, be smart about it, make good evaluations, understand that the kid's situation, because there could be a kid, that maybe doesn't feel like the need to, maybe he wants to go to college and go that route because he has the money, he can afford it or whatever. So I just think that's one more evaluation tool. But on the other hand, you got to go a guy like Pearl who can go get those top guys, but also has a good eye for talent, so he can find those 2 or 3 year guys that become the Bryce Browns or the Jalen Williams or whoever, the Devin Cambridges, the Allen Flanagans, etc. And then he's also really good at putting those last 2 or 3 pieces of a team together in the transfer portal. So he's working all 3 areas now, and he's doing it all. He's doing it all really, really well. And I've covered Auburn basketball and been a fan since back in the '80s. I was here at some heydays back there, and the middle to late '80s. '88. I think they went to the grade 8 that year with Chris Morris and those guys. But it was a desert for a long time until Pearl got here, man. And he has just completely changed things. I mean, completely. Auburn, kids are calling Auburn basketball school, right?
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter said that, which is crazy. They were like, I think it was a recruit actually that said like the atmosphere was Raucous and Jordan Hare
for basketball school.
I was like,
yeah. I mean, listen, this has become a thing because these kids they barely remember like Cam Newton now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And the last thing they remember was Auburn making a Final Four. So I got to ask you, be mad about the schedule, right? So Auburn, December 1st, looks like we play UCF at Auburn Arena. I'm sure Gus won't be
probably not
making a guest appearance. But they've got some interesting matchups. We play Nebraska at a neutral site.
Yep.
We opened up SEC play against LSU right before the end of the year. The media picked Auburn 5th, right? Of the 4 teams ranked it, what do you think about the 4 teams ranked in front of Auburn right now? Like, are they a little? I feel like we're a little bit slept on.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I think Auburn could easily be the SEC champion again this year. I think they have that type of talent. I think if Jabari Smith had signed with Kentucky, he would have been a first team All SEC player, because I've seen plenty of freshmen be first team All SEC players at Kentucky, and I've shaken my head like, that guy's a freshman, he's never played before, and then of course he's a first round draft pick and he's really good. So, but yeah, I do think I think the rivalry with Alabama is going to be great, but I like Pearl in those games, man. So I would never pick Alabama above Auburn to finish in the SEC.
Okay.
Not until it happens. Not until, you know, that guy proves he can beat Pearl year in and year out when Pearl has a healthy team.
Right.
But yeah, I think Auburn is a top 3 team in the SEC, and certainly a team that can win the conference and make that run in the tournament if everything goes right here at the end. You go back to that Final Four team, man, they got on a roll in the SEC tournament at the end of the season, and they just kept it going. If not for Chuma getting hurt, if not for a terrible call by the official in the semifinals, you know, we might be talking about the national championship team. So
yeah, listen, it was the loss against Kentucky that year at home.
Yep.
And everybody started to write Auburn off.
Yep.
And then they went on a run after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. All the way to the Final Four. It was incredible. I think what Bruce Pearl has been doing at Auburn is incredible. I think that it's really symbolic of what we hope to see from Bryan Harsin in terms of talent development. Right.
Right.
If you come here under Bruce and you're a 5-star player, you're one and done. Right. You're going to the league under this guy. He's putting kids in the league every year now. And I hope that Bryan Harsin is bringing some of that energy to Auburn football here soon. You know, where with kids come, they know they're going to get developed. They know they're going to get a chance to play in the league. 5-star players need to come here and lead first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Right? That's what Bruce is doing. So, I'd like to see that on the football side as well, too.
Indeed. Bryan Matthews, man, we thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your evening to hang with us and the War Report family. Just give us the latest on recruiting, answer people's questions, and talk some basketball a little bit on the side as well, man. So we appreciate you. People know where to find you, of course, man. You're over at auburnsports.com. You want to give them your Twitter handle just in case people want to tweet it or people want to at you.
Yeah, BMatAU. I'm on Twitter. I'm fairly active, kind of boring, but you know, I'm on there, right? So
You're not boring. You're not boring.
I try to have a little fun. I try to have a little fun too sometimes. So yes, I appreciate that. And I'm gonna try to get out to baseball a little bit. They're playing Clemson Saturday at 11 a.m. So try to have a little baseball coverage during this off week. And I think they announced that Auburn was gonna have like a scrimmage here at the end of the month, which I'm really excited about, to get to see them play each other and get to see them have that slam dunk competition they did not have at the tip-off of Tumors, just because I think the floor was a little wet or they were worried about slippage. So
yeah.
Well, listen, we got a few announcements before we get out of here. Mike G, you want to take it away, bro?
Yeah, listen, you definitely want to become an insider, guys. Come on. I don't want to have to tell you every week, although I am going to tell you every week. Become an insider. Tonight, we gave away tickets to the Ole Miss game. Congratulations, Kelsey Garner, on winning tickets to the Ole Miss game. We're going to be giving away even more tickets, guys, to the Mississippi State game. But this one's going to be insider only. Thank Dave and Mike Parrish for the extra tickets to that. Kelsey, if you see Dave, thank them. We are just the conduit by which you got tickets. Dave and Mike stand up people, and they just decided to do something nice for somebody else. So we really appreciate that. And for them being a part of our community. Guys, we're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to save puppies. Help us save the puppies. Head to the About section of our YouTube channel. Click the link. Donate any amount. 50 cents on every dollar goes to Lee County Humane Society to help them save puppies. We want to thank our title sponsor for this segment, auburnsports.com, our guy JG, giving us BMat this week to talk about recruiting. Also want to shout out to BUSR. Support us by supporting our sponsors, guys, whether you bet one time a year or twice a day. BUSR.com/rapport. Every sign up helps us no matter what you do there. Our merch store is live. You can get your War Report gear in our merch store. Find that link in the About section of our YouTube channel. Also, check us out on podcasts. We are on all your podcast platforms, bringing you the Wednesday night War Room that you're listening to right now every single week. I don't have a graphic, but for the 300 people that are still with us, guys, there's no game this week, but we are working hard to bring you even more content.
Yeah.
So in lieu of a watch the film this week, we are bringing you a special segment with former Auburn wide receiver Devin Aromashadu.
Awesome.
He's bringing friends.
Awesome.
Ben Obomanu and Courtney Taylor are going to join him, and we are going to break down wide receiver play.
Wow. What a trio.
Oh, my goodness. These guys, you've got the most underrated group of receivers in Auburn history.
Ever.
Right. They didn't get the if we threw the ball as much as we did now, right? These guys would have left Auburn with almost every single receiving record. There's no doubt in my mind.
They were incredible. Yep.
Ben and Devin are two of the smartest receivers I've ever had the pleasure of talking to. Two of the smartest football players, right? Courtney was just a machine, just a monster. He was a catch monster. He would just, he caught balls in his sleep. I'm sure of it.
LSU
right?
2004, never forget that one.
The catch that saved the season, right? Yep. And so it's going to be a good time with those guys. They're going to help us break down some film. There's been a lot of talk, Matt, about velocity and touch on balls. Yes, I'm going to say it, Isaac. and touch on balls and ball placement. Right?
Yeah, we got you. Talk about football
and ball placement. Good God. And so we're bringing on some pros to talk to us about it. I felt like I took a lot of heat on social media for just suggesting that during the Georgia game, Bo could have taken something off his throws to help these young receivers a little bit. Apparently, that was the cardinal sin, to suggest that maybe if when the receiver's 5 feet away, you don't throw a rocket ball at his face, right? Like that might be a good thing. But we're going to bring some receivers on to talk about it. During the Arkansas game, I thought you did a great job. Getting the right velocity and with ball placement, things of that nature. So they're going to help us settle some of that. We've also got another building report coming at you guys Saturday with Chris Todd. Chris is a friend of the show, so Chris is coming back again to talk about the quarterback side of touch on balls. So for those of you who think, we don't know what we're talking about, we're going to bring on some pros to kind of explain everything and break it down from players, guys who did it. Chris is one of my favorite quarterbacks in Auburn history, man. I know we've had some good ones, but Chris was such a smart guy, and I maintain, if not for the shoulder injury, he would have done something really special here at Auburn, right? So we appreciate Chris joining us and giving us a little bit of his time, every couple months to talk about concepts in football. I love talking, and usually when we do these segments, we're on with Chris for 30 minutes before and after, just extra talk. We could do a building report after hours with all the stuff that Chris gives us. So stay tuned. No game this Saturday, but we will be dropping a building report, and then we will be coming at you with Chris Todd, and then we'll be coming at you Monday night, possibly Tuesday night, depending on what these guys' schedules look like. With this segment with Devin Aromashadu, Courtney Taylor, and Ben Obomanu. It's going to be a lot of fun, so can't wait to bring you guys that.
Chris Todd, 22 touchdown passes for Gus Malzahn in his offense in 2009.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
That was a record for an Auburn
was
quarterback.
He was breaking records in that year.
Yeah, that's right. Chris Todd, people.
And then Cam Newton came through and just
he did. Yeah, right. Yeah, that Cam guy
shattered everything.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, we doing our buddy Ethan, right?
Sure.
Wow.
That's how you are.
All right, business owners, high-income professionals, listen up. Have you ever considered that by funding a 401k or IRA, you are potentially creating a massive tax burden when you retire? Contrary to what you hear from traditional advisors and accountants, 401k or IRA do not save on taxes. It postpones the tax and tax calculation. Wealthy people don't have access to some special tax code. They use financial products, parts of the tax code that are available to everyone, including you and strategy. Would you like to learn how to take advantage of the tax code? All right, well, check this out. Our guy, Ethan Dawe, the owner of Innovative Financial Solutions, has clients throughout the USA and is a nationally recognized expert in the veterinary community. You know how we love to save puppies. So contact Ethan at 251-243-6038 or email him, ethan@ethandawe.com. Ethan Dawe is your alternative to traditional financial planning. Tell him the War Report sent you.
Shout out to Ethan Dawe. Shout out to auburnsports.com. Thanks again, B. Matt, for spending time with us. BUSR, we appreciate you guys. Our buddy Walt Taylor, appreciate you, my good friend. And guys, we appreciate you for hanging out with us. Please, on your way out, get the likes up, thumbs up. We appreciate that, guys. Share this video on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Use hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Let people know that we're out here putting great content, even in a bye week. Also, be sure to like this video again. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. You can find us on, of course, we don't list it here, but Facebook. We're on Twitter and IG at The War Report. You can also find us at TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, but guys, we got a lot of content coming your way, so keep your eyes open. And but until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.